at this, huh? The only person with audio is Brad. As well it should be. Fine, if I'm going to let you guys talk begrudgingly. No one wanted to see my new format where I just have two people stand next to me and I talk at them.
Well, you guys are doing our voices for us as well when you do that.
I get to hear you, but no one else does.
All right.
Look, guys.
So what are we talking about?
I was sick. I lost a whole week. I didn't get to go to Du Bois. I wanted to go to Du Bois and instead became even older than I usually am with the oldest man. I literally told Andy, hey, man, I got pneumonia. He's like, Jesus, man, how old are you?
What are you talking about? We were at the strip club all weekend. What are you talking about? You weren't sick.
I did. When we talk about worlds, we're going to talk about the fact that we were running that list before it was cool. Thank you very much. But let's.
Whoa. We were running that list?
Yeah. Remember when I said, remember when I couldn't tell you guys how deep striking in from Uriel and Marnius Calgar with the CP regen was the way to go? And you were like, Brad, I don't want to do this. You're wrong. And I was like, no. Tom, listen to me. I'm right, and you know it. That's how I remember it.
For those, I'll tell you how it really happened, because I have the text message to prove it. Brad telling me Marnius Calgar and the aggressors were not worth its points. And then I was like, we're coming back from Rumble. I was like, Brad, just try it. 2 days later, I get drunk and text from Brad. You were right. I was wrong, Tom.
It wasn't
Marnius Calgar and the aggressors.
Hold on one second. Didn't I talk about that on the stream 2 weeks prior to that as well?
Yeah.
Where I said,
look, guys,
I thought that was
in my mind. What I remember is I came up with this sick idea.
You said the upcoming were Black Templars, but you also said Marnius Calgar was good too.
Yeah, nice. No, I went over the whole thing.
Black Templars. I was all about the Marnius Calgar.
Hold on, we're going to the wall because I can't be talking about this stuff. Andy coming in with the $4.99 super chat. Mean Girl super chat number 1. Brad sucks at technology after the invention of the printing press. Look, man, that was high tech. That's where I wanted to stop. Gutenberg Bible, it's all you needed. Lyle coming to the $10 super chat. I just want everybody to know Brad is afraid to come and play for 40K at my house this weekend because it's Michigan Ohio State week and he is afraid to enter enemy territory. That is incorrect, sir, because even when I go to my hospital, which is in Ann Arbor, I still wear my Ohio State hat because I'm not afraid. I just make bad decisions constantly.
Your heart's never been fixed, you idiot. Stop wearing Ohio State hat there.
And maybe it's the only hat Brad still owns.
I'll give you some Michigan hats. Go there, Michigan hat, just for a day. Just get your shit fixed.
It'll just burn my head, though. Like holy water on a vampire.
Nah. Anyways, 2 things we're going to talk about first. First off, I would like to hear how Du Bois went. And secondly, Brad, you're going to talk about what made you want to get on the Marnius Calgar train.
I will. And I said it before and I'll say it again. I've been wrong. I'll be wrong again. And the thing is that one of the biggest things, and I have to say this all the time, I was actually talking with Brian about this. And right before I go, you have to learn you should always be learning from other people, from everything, your experiences. Like, don't be afraid to try something that someone else refers to you. You know what I mean? Be it in how you game your armies and everything else, man.
Since you heard of Brad, also launching today, better than Brad Chester coaching services from Moi, $1 less than Brad's coaching services. Get better services for $1 cheaper right here.
It doesn't even matter what Brad's charging. I'm just $1 cheaper than that.
With a maximum capital of 0 people, which is already full. Sorry, sold out. Let's hear about Du Bois real quick.
So Du Bois was a very fun event. 5 rounds on GW style terrain, not 100% exact match because I'm still waiting for a few more of those bizarre 4-inch, 2-inch buildings to come in from overseas. But we used some cargo crates and lined them up to be about the same exact thing. Absolutely fun time. A couple people were confused that we did some minor tweaks to the missions just to kind of make them a little more intriguing, but we had them all in our pack. And once people actually read them and played them, they were like, hey, that's a significant improvement. It was kind of nice. Had a lot of variance of people there this year. We had people from a lot of our local meta was really nice. Huge representation out of the local. I would go with over half the field, which was absolutely fantastic. From Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo area of New York State, which was absolutely fantastic. And there goes Brad throwing up some pictures of Mike's Fox award-winning army.
I'm going to be just dropping those in as we go.
Yeah. Absolutely good time. The overall event for Best General was won by Adam Dye from Black Shields running Chaos Space Marines. Ken Knox came in second running Death Watch from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And one of our own, Scott Ferguson, came in third place and was playing for the championship on stream on Tabletop Live. With Eldari and had a great time. And an old school Du Bois attendee and person who's won Best Painted at Nova and a few other things was there called David Koska, who came in fourth place with AdMech. So it was a really nice, diverse field. Really fun time, lot of good things. There wasn't a ton of difficult judging questions other than trying to explain a couple things to people that were relatively new players coming back to the game. It was a really good time. I got to give a shout out to my crew, Chris Werner, pardon me, Little Brian, who is a new helper, and of course my second in command, Steve Zuber, who helps me through everything. Did a fantastic job. Just helping me out, especially with my back being out for most of the weekend. It was really good.
I heard you're back.
Yeah, I was moving terrain. I threw my back out last week, and I kept doing the self-medication of enough alcohol to be able to judge and stay sober, and be able to walk around the room and kind of talk to people.
I once did that, and I killed my alter ego doing that. So, and my drinking.
But it was a good time. I can say that it was really neat seeing a lot of different play styles. And like one of the things that was a really a pleasant surprise was watching a Be'lakor Khorne Demon army that was a tribute army to one of our players that had passed away that somebody else decided to run because the guy was a big Khorne fan. And he did really, really well with it because he's a very good player, Matthew Bailey. And when people like were reading what Blood Crushers do, they were going, wait, you mean it doesn't have to, the model itself doesn't have to be engagement range for things? It was like, nope, just a unit that's in engagement range with them. You know, you take D3 mortal wounds, and they were like, oh, I probably shouldn't have let 6 of those charge me. And
yeah,
it was like, yeah, probably not. So it was really interesting watching people learn like all the stuff that is off meta doing very well.
I love them. I think the meta's in a cool place. You know, where one of the meta things that's in a cool place, Tom, your Black Templars are doing super well since that data shape, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they have. So real quick, give us your surprise faction that did well at the Du Bois. What went pretty far that you didn't see happening?
I was surprised to see Death Watch all the way up in second place with being undefeated. Ken's Lich was very interesting. And it was pretty good. I mean, he had the Biologist, a captain, lieutenant with fire discipline, all Gladius task force, lieutenant with combi weapon, an aggressor squad, an assault interquester squad with jump packs, a couple of those, the Corvus Blackstar, which he said was an amazing part of his army list.
I'm going to be arguing with Sniggs again because I've been telling him for years how much I hate the Corvus Blackstar, and he has 4 of them.
The Eradicator squad, an Inceptor squad, times 3. He had 3 of them, one with the big unit. Unit of infiltrators, the super large Proteus kill team, which is in the Corvus Blackstar, obviously. Couple scout squads, and that was the army list. And he just did remarkably well. He played placement well. He denied lanes really well. It was very interesting to see.
I think there's a lot of play in a lot of those. We've been talking about that. I think that a lot of the Marine armies have a lot of play. They're not easy to play at all, but they have a lot of answers. You just have to be playing them consistently right all the time.
Yeah. And then the great segue into Brad. Tell me, where did you practice this list last year in
TTS?
TTS.
I couldn't go anywhere because I'm dying. Threw some TTS down, did some coaching with it, did some deployment with it, played some games with it, and I really enjoyed it. It was all ready. I really liked between, if you want to be honest about it, like Sean Rice, Tom, and I have been going back and forth about a Vanguard list, and I think we all are within 100 points of each other now in agreement. And I love working things out. It's just so nice to put stuff in the lab. And you were right about some of the big things, because the things that I felt there were weaknesses in the Vanguard made those Marnius Calguard changes, and I really, really liked it. He's a big boy. He still gives me heart palpitations because of the expensiveness of that squad. And that deep, and I called Sean today, and I go, man, if only you guys would have listened to me about that 6-man deep striking Centurion squad earlier. I mean, I've been on you every day over and over trying to tell you that that's the right way to go. And finally, you listen to me, and I'm like, man, this thing does work.
Yeah, it does. So what was the list that you were running?
Here's the list I'm running. I don't have it up in a good way for you guys to see it, but I'm running Marnius Calgar with a unit of aggressors, with the Apothecary with blade-driven deep so he can infiltrate. And then I'm
for everyone understands, that's 6 aggressors, Marnius Calgar, his 2 Victrix guard, and the biologist that can infiltrate.
And also,
so it's a big deal.
Lethal hits.
They start 9 inches away, and they can move, advance, charge, and shoot.
Yep.
But the thing is, one thing I want people to know when you run that, don't always just put them.
No, it's not super aggressive. You put them in a great spot. They're a great counter. They push people back. It's amazing on that. And then I'm running the Phobos Librarian with the unit of infiltrators, so you can't be targeted, and then people can't come within 12. And then I've got 663 Inceptors, the 3-man's bolter, and I am flipping a coin on whether the second man is plasma, but I do have 1 plasma, 1 bolter, and currently the other 6-man is bolter. I might switch them to plasma. I'm back and forth. And then I've got a unit of 6.
I think if you run 6, it's got to be plasma.
Yeah, I'm back and forth on it. Then I've got 6 Centurions that deep strike because of Uriel Ventress. And then a 3-man Centurion that starts on the board, and then 3 units of scouts.
Not bad. Not
bad. See, Eddie has actually been ahead of us all on that. Eddie literally said he wanted sense early, and I was like, I don't know about it, Andy. And then, of course, I told you guys I also didn't know how I felt about him. And then, of course, once I decided I was on him, I decided it was my idea all the time.
I mean, we've had the discussion of Centurions a few different times since the Codex dropped, and I said they were really good. Brad said, "Oh, I'm not sold on them. I think they're expensive." And I'm like, "Well, you haven't used them on the tabletop yet to see what they do."
It's once you start bouncing them around with Vanguard. I don't really like them in other detachments. Vanguard is just so messed up with 1 CP. Deuces, homies, on anywhere. Smoke bomb. Love it. You leave my Inceptors alone. There would not be point adjustments on that. Centurions will have las cannons and missile launchers. And the reason that is that I'm looking for long distance dedication. I want to outrange my opponent. And I also want to be able to stay as far away possibly. But the biggest thing is that the las cannons are twin linked from the Centurion Devastators. So they innately reroll 1s. They reroll everything on if they're shooting something on an objective. And Vanguard has a strat to be +1 to hit, +1 AP. So you're hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. So you're rerolling everything. And then you're also +1 AP. So you've got AP4 las cannons coming at you that are twin linked. 100% las cannons, get the fuck out. And the thing is that you can keep using that 1 CP strat to pull them into the air and somewhere out. So you can always just get those super long lanes to outrange your opponent, because you've got all this other stuff that's really clogging the lanes and getting up on top of them. And then you've got these Centurions that are constantly appearing, getting lines of fire that your opponent usually can't answer.
And I'm digging Hellblasters myself personally as well, but that's a personal thing. I like that return fire.
It's not automatic. I just like the not shot at all. It's go stand way over there.
I like them. Not saying they're the most competitive.
No,
I like them.
if I liked Hellblasters more, I'd put Azzy on the board. One of the biggest things that Tom got me to switch over to Marnius is because I told him I need CP regen. The Vanguard strats are just too good to not have CP regen. And he's just like, you need to bring Marnius. And I was like, I don't know about it. And then he said, you need to bring Marnius. And then he finally put me in a headlock and just started hitting me in the head. And I was like, Tom, I just had an epiphany. What do you think about me bringing Marnius?
Wow. Mind blown. That's a great idea, Brad. I think I'm going to steal that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Meta Monday popped in with every Space Marine list in the championship had between 9 and 18 with the plasma guys.
It'll be Inceptors.
So they're going to get hit for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're fantastic, though. I tell you the truth, I wish fucking GW and their goddamn thing. Hold on, let me get my chi together. Oops. Make them two different things. Hey, you know what you could do? Make guns cost something. You know, because Inceptors would be super cool if you had the option between bolters or plasma, and maybe the plasma costs more. You know, like it used to.
I'll be right back. I have dad duty.
Can
Save
you?
the world championship so I get back.
I didn't realize we had a Custodes going 5-0 at Renegade.
Yeah.
Also, man, that's a lot of big tournaments run on the same day.
Yeah, well, you had what? Warhammer? Well, you had Du Bois. You had Warhammer Team Championships. You had Renegade Open. You had
Baja Open was 60 people. You had
the Alliance Grand Open.
Yep. Renegade
Netherlands
at 80. You had the Netherlands, the Alliance with 100 and some people, 107. And then, of course, the championship with Schloed of Bros. They
170 something?
They played so many games.
Yeah, it was like what? Like maximum of 12?
John played
games?
12. John Lennon played 12 games because he came out of the losers bracket. And he the better part is John played 4 more games than everybody else.
I thought he played 2 more games than everybody else.
He had 12. Everybody else stopped playing once they went.
No, because there was the
Manny was 9-0-1.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was 9 games, 12 games. Yeah, that's right.
So so they just kept beating John with a stick. Play another one. So
I got to give out to our shout out to our boy Mike Fox for winning Best Painted, one of the DOG members out of Rochester, New York.
Speaking of that, have to change his pick again. Show one more.
Yeah. He also had the misfortune of playing Eldar 5 times in a row while playing guard.
How do you do that?
That's what happens in pods. things occur. But yeah, it was one of those days. We all know how that goes.
Look at Mike. He's asking me for the link to the stream. What a slacker. Can't even find it. That's hurtful. Lyle coming in with a $5 super chat. How many of the world finalists were you excited for the world to see instead of just a WTC in their home country? Several of the guys. I mean, we've already seen Arn come in. A couple of the guys. We had a couple of the German guys were in there. God, why am I blanking on everybody? I was in a daze keeping track of that tournament this weekend, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, with running an event, I will admit that my sleep that was necessary to catch up from the weekend allowed me not to have an entire top 20 breakdown on that one for you.
Yeah, but the Euros did really well. They very represented.
Yeah, and one of the cool aspects that I liked about the World Team Championships,
just the world,
was the fact that they
team
gave points. I'm sorry, the Warhammer Championship. I'm getting myself confused. Was the way they did all the world, the country rankings.
Yeah,
which was kind of neat, where you got points based upon where people finished and everything else, and the U.S. beat England by 4 points, and I'm just saying that we had a guy from our team get 7 points for the U.S. by winning Best Painted, so he could technically be considered the MVP.
MVP. We had a good weekend, though. Excuse me. I didn't have a good weekend. I had a good weekend watching stuff. But I was excited for it. There was a lot of different factions represented. We had CSM, I still think, is probably at the top. It just did really well everywhere at the Worlds. It did well everywhere. It's been doing very, very well. It was played in a huge amount of games as usual over the weekend. What do we have? It's not Eldari numbers, but 378. Eldari still came in with a weekend win rate of 59%, 57% in the 10 weeks since the slate. But CSM is literally 23 tournaments against Eldari's 27, and that's including, them coming in hot with it. So they're at 55%, and they're really consistent at that.
They're the second highest number of tournament wins since the data slate. The buff stacks from Dark Pact are so good.
Oh, it's bonkers town.
It makes them very difficult. And if you haven't played against them and then you waltz into it like, oh, it's just Chaos Space Marines. Oh my God,
they spike so high in damage. Those small units
crush your dreams. You're like, oh, I didn't know they did that. It is quite impressive.
Exploding sixes, possible exploding sixes and lethal hits. I've just seen, we had Carmona. He was talking about at the San Diego SoCal Open, and he picked up the Incarn on Overwatch with his unit of obliterators. I was just like, oh, that's gotta sting. Just ouch.
You look at it, they're the second highest tournament win rate since the data slate. Orcs, I think, are third, followed by Death Guard and Votan at 8 a pop. So it's pretty healthy meta. Tyranids in with 6. I think Tau have just as many. So it's pretty balanced.
Will the meta stay stagnant until LVO? Yes, if you're going to LVO, we'll get a data slate before LVO.
I disagree with that statement. Well, we have new codexes coming in 4 weeks, or in 2 weeks.
True. That's true. We got Necrons and AdMech, correct?
Yep. Necrons and AdMech.
I'm correct. I'm just thinking about what's changing before. I hope, to be honest, that LVO just embraces, and I've been saying this for a while, I wish they would just embrace, because they're always going to get a data slate right before LVO. Just embrace it and ride the wild, wild west. It's the first big tournament of the year. Just smash out, use all the new rules. Make it just the biggest wild west of there is. And I don't know, I just really like that.
You got to remember, you got a different head judge this year for LVO, right? Because they go from Salty John to Adam Solis for head judges. So that's going to change up a few things, I would assume, in that side of things. And then you've got a little bit more of a presence. You got Jeremy Atkinson helping him out as well as an assistant head judge. And I know there's one other one that I'm forgetting at the moment. But that's going to have some more influence of trying probably to embrace that stuff, I would assume, because as players, I know especially with Jeremy, he enjoys using the most recent rules. He wants things to be the most up to date. So let's hope. Cross our fingers.
And it's more fun to play with the newest stuff, because you feel like you're playing with the old version, you know what I mean, when you go to a tournament like that. Obviously you can't play with stuff that happens like the day of or 2 days before kind of shit, but you want to play with the newest. We're playing with toys, you know what I mean? I want my newest toy. I want to play with my new toy, not my old toy. I think, why you gotta bring up old shit? I want the new stuff. Yeah. Kind of. Andy makes a decent point. He goes, the only problem for Wild West is it just helps favor people who do this full time and get rules early to get away more practice games versus regular shows. Yes, but like, I do this all the time, but I don't get it for, pre-knowledge of stuff. And I know that's a thing, but I don't know how to prevent that, to be honest with you. But even though it doesn't favor me on the fact that I don't get it early, I would love to just see still all that stuff get put out, because I don't know, it's just more enjoyable. So I mean, I also have more time to deal with it than everybody else does. So I get what you're saying though, but I do want to use it. I want new stuff, damn it. They do run it as the last tournament of the year, even though it's in the new year. You know what I mean? Because it's their roundup for all their awards and their year awards.
Yeah. Do we think that's gonna change as GW becomes more prevalent as running these things?
I would like it.
If GW keeps running their World Championship, could LVO become the kickoff to the season, and that World Championships become the finals of the season?
Yeah, I would like to see it be the kickoff, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. You could run two things, you know what I mean? We could run a end of the year tournament, but I don't know. I enjoy really.
You'd have to change the date though.
100%.
You can't have the season. Have the season in November and begin in February.
True.
That's just a 10-month season. It's actually like 9.5 because I think they both start at the end of the month.
I mean, I'm fine with it where it is, you know what I mean? But it is. I would just like them to use all the new stuff. I mean, 1,000-man tournament using all the new stuff. It's a nightmare for judges and it's amazing for players. I just think it's going to be fun.
So, how do we feel about the World Championship now that I'm back?
So, I liked the idea of the format. The pod thing, the way they did it, the way they set it up seemed pretty balanced. I don't know if they if they looked at ELO rankings, but it felt like they did. The way things were set.
The pods were based off ELO rankings.
They were? Okay.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was very diverse, very interesting. It made me feel like it was an actual World Championships. It kind of had the soccer feel of the pods, and getting out of the pod stage into the knockout rounds was interesting. The final setup with the double bracket elimination thing was a little weird, but it was kind of neat.
Lionel comes in with a $5 super chat. Goes, any chance FLG lets Worlds end the season and LVO start a new one moving forward? It'd be awkward on the dates, but maybe.
For anyone who's running an event in January or December, you're pretty much not in a season. You're just an out-of-season event at that point.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, would you move LVO back to last weekend in January, and then
it's Super Bowl weekend? That was the problem we had before. Is all the rates were so far up because we kept showing up on Super Bowl weekend.
Oh, that's fair.
That's why it was like a pain in the ass getting there on it, because usually getting to Vegas is so cheap. That particular weekend's a pain in the ass.
And also, all the restaurants are just massively.
Yeah. Also, by the way, his display board is badass. We haven't said anything about this. Holy shit.
Oh my God, his display board, Fox's entire setup is amazing. It's like, I have a very strict hobby.
I'm covering you fools up for a minute. We're gonna look at this thing in detail. I mean, I'm not gonna cover me up, but I mean, I'll cover you guys up.
Absolutely, I'm all for that. So I don't know if he still got it on the bottom of one of his tanks, but he kind of wrote it, because I have this thing where I pick up tanks and I look at the bottom to make sure the model's fully painted. And one of the events, I was like, Mike, you gonna finish painting your tanks? He was like, shut up, Brian. So there was a little kind of F you to me at the bottom of one of them at one point.
Nice. I like what's going on here.
That stuff is fantastic. His board is such. If you'd have seen his Death Guard beforehand and see how just talented this guy is, it is fantastic. I consider myself an okay painter. Mike and a lot of our crew in the 13th Legion are just phenomenal and put me to shame on a consistent basis.
So,
they are amazing.
Would you say that Mike has double the painting skills of me?
No, I would say that your play skills may be close to his painting skills, but I think his painting skills are better than your play skills.
And because of the fact that I don't want KR to yell at me, please like and subscribe like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us 1,000,000%. It really helps with the metrics. And of course, also, I should say that more often. So thank you so much.
So real quick, do we want to hit what everyone's talking about World Championships or no?
Yeah. Yeah. We were throwing it down.
What do you guys think about the mild controversy?
Nah, it is what it is. I wasn't there. So I can only talk about what's online, and I don't know if you know it, but sometimes people online are
Oh,
not
shit.
super
We're getting
nice.
invaded.
What's going on? Where? When?
Crowley's in here.
What?
I hacked my way in.
Hacker Man.
I feel like it's like the old WCW WWE invasion arc.
Hold on,
Tries to come in halfway
I'm
through the
still
show.
putting the box of stuff still in front of your face, but I will bring the cows down.
Oh, great. Now I'm covered up. I see how it is.
My question is also, we weren't there for it. Everything is speculated at this point, right?
Oh no.
So I haven't read.
I like the fact that Tom's like, I'm going there, guys. I'm going there.
Well, I'm going there. Not because I want to talk about the players that happened. I want to talk about the situation itself and see how you guys feel about it. So according to what I read online, and once again, we're not here to trash any players. So if anyone has any choice words about either of the players, please don't put them in the comments. Just don't. Take that to the Reddit post if you want. But so this, what sounds like happened is Lennon moved his guys out and advanced 1 inch, so 6-inch move total, because 5 plus 1.
Now,
Shot never
because
gets charged.
The thing is they had an argument about Marnius Calgar's movement. So they risked, because when you move a unit, it's model by model. So if the aggressors can move 5, Marnius Calgar does move 6. Marnius Calgar can move 6, and then the rest of the guys move 5.
But the thing is, this is what they said. So he moved out 6 inches because he went 5 plus 1 advance. Rolled a 6 for the strat, which is calculated feint, right? If I remember off the top of my head. And rolled a 6. Moved his guys back in starting location, which is a 6-inch move. And made the charge basically unchargeable because you had to go around the building. So they both agreed upon it. The judge at the time let it go through. They go and they have a great game, very tactical game. Manny played pretty well. Lennon played out of his mind because he was on the back foot and brought the game back and won it 70-68. Fast forward till when the stream's over, this is what people didn't see. From what's being reported online, we weren't there. None of us were on the stream were there. And it sounds like Manny got another judge involved, talked about it, and said, well, he moved 6 inches back. He should only move 5 because even though he rolled a 6, his max movement's a 5. Lennon, actually just tried to be a good sport and said, I don't remember the game state. I'll just take a 10-point penalty. And the game got reversed after the stream. So that's kind of what I picked up with like 5 minutes of digging. So some of them facts could be inaccurate. We're not here to discuss about those two players and what could have happened. First off, if that is accurate, kudos to John Lennon for being an absolute sport and not trying to fight it afterwards. But my question why I brought it up is, how do you guys feel about something like that happening? You guys play a game, get the judge there at the time, rules on something, you play it out, come at the end of the game, something may or may not have been played wrong, and it would have just completely changed the game state, not just for
You can't
your
do
opponent.
anything. What are you going to do
as well.
about that, though? Would I going to go back and play the game again? You know what I mean? It's over. Unfortunately,
As a judge, this is where I can use I've learned from my lessons. I once went back and changed a result because of a thing that was game state, and then after the game, both players agreed on that game state of what it was. There wasn't a disagreement, and I flipped the game. But ever since then, I am you know what? You submitted the game, game's over. It's done.
unless it's something like
Super egregious to where it's like, hey, this guy was using loaded dice and I can prove it. Here's his, grab his dice bag. And
Yeah,
roll.
but I'm just saying, like, you can't go to a ruling in the middle of a game and just go, well, this could have happened. Real quick for we definitely had a DOG at the World Champions because Mr. Brandon Valley was there with his towel, sending me messages every day about how much he didn't like that terrain.
When I say we weren't there, I mean people on this stream right now. We had a couple members there actually.
I was supposed to be there, and then I had a family emergency that I literally was halfway to Atlanta and had to flip one and drive home for. So
that sucks.
It did. I am a firm believer that if the judge makes a call at the table, that call needs to be respected, no matter what. Even if the head judge disagrees afterwards, that needs to be the head judge coaching the judge on what should happen in the future. Because if we get to the state where the table state can't be recreated and we create pressure situations, there are already way too many accusations that are thrown out against competitive players about doing that. And I'm not throwing shade at any specific players or anything like that, that it happens at events. The tables, if the judge makes a ruling at the table, that is the law. The law can be changed after the fact if the head judge agrees for that event, but the law at the table was still the law at the table.
Okay.
And that should
Real
be
quick, we have McBain saying you're wrong. Nick talked about it already.
He did a
Watched
video
our-
on his Dart of War about it. He messaged me
Yeah,
about
we're
that.
not discussing the details of like the players, and we're not talking about the players.
No.
We're just talking
but
about the situation.
The situation was the Calgar moves. It was supposed to move 6. That was the issue. It wasn't falling back or anything.
Yeah, we're not trying to trash London, or we're not trying to trash Manny, and we're not really trying to dive too much into the situation. I just kind of talked about what I read in like 5 minutes. Like I said before, it was like a quick dive, wasn't a deep dive, because I want to talk about the situation, how the rest of us on the stream here and those watching
So
feels whether we should change something afterwards.
I'm going to assume that every one of us at the table have been at a table and done something wrong, right? Made a mistake, made an error.
That's a daily thing
Or
for Brad.
let a-
That's a-
Let a
Every
player
game thing.
get away with a mistake or an error, and it happened, or a judge came over and made a ruling. At the end of the game, once you've agreed and submitted results, you should then stop complaining about the game. It should be over, and you should move past
The
it.
only time you can change something is if the game was egregiously misscored or something huge was missed, and both players are like, "Oh yes, 100%." You know what I mean? That is a big deal on that. But besides that, you can't go, "Hey, you were slightly out of range, Crawley, on turn 2." You know what I mean? What the hell do you do about that? Cool, let's play again. You know what I mean? It's over.
There's a good question just popped up while we're in the middle of it, and I don't want to go too far without this question. So, Gitley Gaming question: if a judge gives you a ruling that is incorrect, do you feel players should be able to ask a head judge ruling?
Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
So what we're talking about right now is they got a judge ruling, they played out the game, and then they got a different judge because one player didn't like the outcome. Not saying that's what Manny exactly did. We're saying, in our opinion, if one player's like outcome, should they be able to get a judge and try to affect something that happened on turn 2, 3, or 4? In my opinion, no. Now, to answer your question, 100%. If you feel like there's a wrong call and you feel like you're very strong on it, like, hey, could we get the head judge for this? And some events might not let you get a head judge. Like, nope, that's not how we do here. But you can always ask for one and get a second opinion. Just remember one thing: whether you agree with that ruling or not, respect the judges. So, to give a little bit of a personal story on that, and this is why I mean respect the judges. I was playing Adepticon 2 years ago. I was playing against a Harlequin player. I had broadsides with shield drones protecting characters, right? And they shot in on my squad. I said, okay, I'm going to take all this hits on this first broadside, and then I'll take it on the shield drones. Because we both agreed if that one broadside's dead, you can't see the rest with any of your other boats. We rolled it out. Judge made judge basically judge against me on something. I thought it was wrong. I didn't get the head judge. Kept it going through there. They ended up biting me in the butt. And then when the judge came over, they're like, well, yeah, that should have been, you do get cover on there. I'm not going to go too many details. But at that point, I said, it's my fault. I didn't get you when the thing was happening. We're a turn and a half forward. We just got to keep it that way. Because in my personal opinion, you don't affect the game state from a turn and a half, 2 turns later, or even after the game. Because granted, yeah, it would have changed the way I played. It also changed the way my opponent played. So
which is why
if you get a
call
ruling,
the judges right away. Then it's not a bad thing. All you're doing is going, hey, we have a disagreement. We're not arguing about it. We're just saying, hey, I think the rule's this way. You think it's this way. Let's just call the judge. Boom, it's done. We continue to play. Here's a drink. Make a sandwich bet on it.
A lot of judges, and this is a thing that I know that because Tom's been there when I've made rulings. If I don't 100% like off the top of my head go, boom, it's this, it's here, this is the reasoning why. And because there's going to be times where you have to go, give me a second. I just need to double check some things. And I step aside away from the players. I read things and then I walk back over and go, okay, so here's where this is, here's where this is, here's where this is. And I read the rules to them. And then normally 99.9% of the time, both players go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. All right, thanks. And they move on. and there's going to be that 1/100th of a time where there's an issue. Always just ask for a judge. If you don't understand something or you don't agree on something with your opponent, ask them for the judge to come over. He'll explain it to you. That's their job.
There are very few exceptions that should ever come up in an after game circumstance, right? One, your opponent is misplaying like a warlord trait that you know that they didn't have on their sheet, right? And you don't identify it till afterwards. Two, they're playing Drukhari Raiders and they don't have any big giant sails on them, and you don't realize it till afterwards that they're supposed to have big giant sails, and it would have changed the entire outcome of the game. Or they're using an item or like cheater dice or something like that, because it's not even a fair expectation to expect every single person in the game to know what every single model should look like.
Well, hold on a second. Those are very specific.
I know those went very crazily. Hey guys, if your opponent is named Ted on a Thursday with a Raider with a sail, like,
So,
I feel like
okay,
you
so
might have
here's
had
one of
that
the things.
happen.
During a game, if you feel there's models that have been modeled for advantage, you need to call a judge immediately. All right. That should be an immediate call of, hey, judge, and then explain to him.
Yeah.
Explain to the judge and say, this is why I think X, Y, Z.
Or you could be like, these are super cool. We should keep playing with this.
I actually agree.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Brian on this. If it's something you think is a modeling for a disadvantage or an advantage, you should be calling a judge before the game. Going after game is just weird because it's like, I'm going to try to win the game if I don't like the outcome, and then I'm going to try to find a way to reverse it. That
What do you do if you didn't recognize that they were modeled to advantage until afterwards because you didn't know what the models looked like?
I don't think you
For
can
most
talk to
players,
judge and
especially
give them-
You know
when you
what?
get to it.
You are the bee's knees.
So very few people don't know what most of the models look like. If you're a newer player and you didn't know what the model looks like and you feel like you got taken advantage of during the game, after the game, go, okay, yeah, I've learned from this lesson. I should have said something when something felt off.
Oh.
And if after the game your buddies are going, hey, that guy's stuff isn't accurate, you can go up to the judge and go, hey, during our game, his models didn't have any flags or sails on them. We'll use the Raider as the example that you set. And then you alert the judge. And so maybe in the next game, the judge goes up to the player and goes, hey, I see your models for advantage, and may die. And you don't complain to the judge going, oh, you need to reverse my game. You go, hey, just so his next opponent doesn't have the problem I had. And then it's on the onus of the judge on what to do in that aspect. You're not asking for something out of it.
What happens if you got a player, I don't know, we'll make an arbitrary amount of years, 25 years playing, but he actually doesn't know what any model's supposed to look like, and finds out later.
Is his name Brad Chester?
What? No.
Brad
You get
wouldn't
judge
do
of
that.
time with that, man. That man.
Brad would also
doesn't
not
even-
forget to play his runt herd or anything like that
Oh,
either.
God.
Yeah.
Guys won't let that one go, huh?
May not let her put that down.
He also likes to feed elevators Raiders. While we're on the Raiders.
God damn it.
He also likes to pick up his models when he's
Hey.
his opponent's models when he's hammered and take them off the table and go, I killed that,
You're
right?
Listen, this is a
What?
true story. We're at ACO. Is it ACO or LVO, Brad?
ACO. And
ACO.
the
Brad
you know what?
comes to
Screw
me on
this.
day 2.
Yes.
Mute him,
Adrian
mute him,
Buss,
Brad,
dude,
mute him.
you're not gonna believe this. I'm like, what? He's like, an elevator ate my Raider. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the elevator reached up and ate my Raider.
This is
And
what-
someone next to me is like, well, he's trying to tell drunk Brad's trying to tell you is he was trying to get off the elevator and dropped a Raider.
I did
to the
not
crap.
drop the Raider. A guy bumped my tray.
Yeah.
My I was using my roly-poly tray, and he hit
Yeah.
it. And the Raider was like, "I'm too long for this life." Ah! And the best is that dude just like, "I don't care. Sorry about your Raider, chump." A guy held the elevator open, and he was looking at me like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, I can't dive into the elevator shaft, man. That thing is done. We fed that bitch to the gods. It is gone.
He's like, that's a Brad Chester Raider. I gotta get down there and get that. That's a souvenir.
It was the best part is I went up to Sean Nate and got a Raider from him, and he's looking at me. He's like, "Dude, it's Saturday. What did you play with yesterday?" I'm like, "Funny story. Elevator ate a Raider."
Yes, the end all be all is that if the judge makes a call at the table, you should not
Yeah.
try to contest that call later.
Or
It
you
does
could do
not-
like, or like Kyle
And
says,
again,
Ask your opponent to
It's
formally
never-
duel in the parking lot. For your honor.
It's never be afraid to say, "Hey, are you positive on this?" Which is a perfectly acceptable response, and say, and if the guy hesitates and goes, I'm pretty sure, could you ask your head judge? And if he's the head judge and he says he's positive, shut up and move on.
Raider of the Lost Ark.
And before we get off here, we had a good question, and I think it's a good segment for us to kind of try to end on, so it'll take us a few minutes each. Someone asked, do we think there's going to be any units being adjusted in the next data slate?
I can't
So let's
name
go-
so many off the top of my head.
So listen, let's go around, and we think 3, Brad? 3 each? See what
Do
everyone
3
thinks
each.
3
I'll go last because I can name a lot.
No, you're going first. You always go last. You're going first today.
Cool. I'm done. Chosen, Inceptors for sure. And I still think that Wraithguard are probably going to get beat up a little bit
Wraithguard.
Yeah.
Why do you think Wraithguard?
because they were in a shit ton of winning lists and they're played all the time. They're huge in Europe for one.
Yeah.
They're strong. They're strong here, but they're huge in Europe.
And then give us one reason each for the ones you chose.
The Inceptors just do what they do, and they're cheap. They're amazing. 3-inch deep strike's huge. Chosen just punch up too hard, and the thing is GW consistently has went. Is that unit? Are they taking 3 of that unit in every single army and every single time? Then that will get nerfed. That's just how they always have been. Is this something that is taken in all lists? Then we have to look at it. The Wraithguard, people still, Eldar's still winning at a great rate, and they still need to be dusted. And I think the Wraithguard are going to be put out as tribute.
Brian?
The Yin Karn, Obliterators, and Inceptors.
All right.
The Yin Karn is in 95% of Eldar lists. Inceptors are in every Space Marine list. It's just the inevitable is going to happen there. And Chosen just pump up too hard.
Mr. Crawley.
Inceptors, because they are literally in every single list, and it's so difficult for your average player to be able to plan around a 3-inch deep strike that actually does such lethal damage. So I think they need to be point costed aggressively. The Yin Karn, because I still think that the interaction of her being able to teleport and charge in the same turn fundamentally makes that model too strong, and it's negative place.
It needs a rules mechanic. The Yin Karn and the spinners shouldn't be touched in points. They should mechanically be adjusted. It doesn't matter. We've been saying this forever. Night Spinner's mechanic is so ridiculous that if you made it 200 plus points, people would still bring a Night Spinner. -2 to move, no advance is broken.
Yep. And I think the Night Spinner, because it fundamentally is creating a experience where certain armies are not able to function. And if you look at events like the Rumble on the Rivers is a really good example where Eldar weren't super prevalent, and look at the faction diversity that we saw on the top of that, right? It goes to show that like stuff like Death Guard and stuff can really do well and function really well when there's not this, hey, you can't advance and you're -2. And by the way, if you F up, I can accidentally teleport a Yin Karn on top of your face. So don't fail saves, because that would really suck, right? The Yin Karn combination, exactly what Brad's talking about. It literally just wins you games on accident sometimes. Like, it's so good. And then on accident, you just sometimes be like, oh, cool, I just won the game because I got to charge your most important juicy bits on turn 1 for free, and you can't interact with it.
I think Obliterators will get nerfed pretty hard. You think Chosen can hit upswing up, which Obliterators give you 15 uppercuts from
Same, but at least the Obliterators cost a little bit, man. Chosen with the guys $185, man. Like,
yeah, it's so cheap.
At least
that's
at
what
least
the
you gotta
Lord.
get in the charge range with them. Obliterators doesn't mean they
charge
can see
range
you or
is
not.
forever,
Just that.
dude.
You're like, players like, reroll hits wounds, baby. It doesn't matter if I can see you or not. Woo woo! Let's go.
I do
Just
wonder if
Windows 9.
Obliterators would be much more functionally fair if they didn't have a turn of shooting indirect. I think getting a free turn with them, and then in addition to, haha, now I get to blast you. It's kind of, it's counterintuitive, but I don't think it's
Night Spinner just needs to be fixed. Just be -2.
It's mechanics. You just have to change the mechanics. And he's got a good question, but it doesn't have a good answer. Because he asks us to rank which type of unit should be prioritizing for. Unfortunately, the answer is the meta is very diverse right now, so you have to make a very diverse army. You have to lean into what the strengths of your army are.
Hold up. $5 super chat saying to restart the stream. All right, boys, start the timer. Guess we're not ending at 8:55 tonight.
No.
Brad, go ahead and give us our intros.
Well, hold on. Let me do the intro the way it was done originally. Oh yeah, it was completely no audio. I'm so funny.
He's so fancy.
So, Tom, I heard one audio. You said Oblitz, and what else did
Night
you say?
Spinners, Night Spinners got to be just mice to move and advance. Not you can't advance. Stupidest thing ever. Like it literally invalid. That one tank can invalidate like a handful of matchups.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
Like-
top armies too. You just go, hey, you're playing Necron's cool, I win.
Yeah, well, no, it's just not that. You're playing 3 Night Spinners. Oh, you're playing Tau. Cool. I guess your Christ suits are moving 8 inches and you can't advance. Oh, you're playing Death Guard. I guess you're gonna stay in your deployment zone for like 3 turns.
Hey, you just hit the front units. It's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Oh, you're playing Necrons. I hope you really don't like playing your.
Enjoy moving 3.
Yeah.
I really am excited to see how the meta shapes up a little bit now that we have Necrons and.
I'm excited for
Admech.
this. Are we supposed to get the books or what? When are we going to get the
They're-
previews of the books?
The codexes are up for pre-order next Saturday, so it'll be about 3 weeks before you see it in stores.
No, but I'm saying we'll get the rules though, because the NDAs will be lifted.
You should see the rules next Saturday.
We should only be.
Right, the way they're doing the
it should be-
previews, and the NDAs going off is when the pre-orders go up. It should be the next Saturday.
It's a 1 week pre-order for them, not a 2 week pre-order, right?
Is it a 1 week? Or no, I thought it was 2 weeks.
Hold on, let me check. I thought it was a 1 week, but I could be completely.
Because they've gone to doing 2 week pre-orders for everything. I thought.
I thought it was just Space Marines because Space Marines are always special and get to have.
No,
2
because
weeks.
they did it. They're doing it for every release going forward. It'll be a 2 week pre-order window.
Oh,
Yeah, the rules drop
I'm
on Saturday.
checking yours.
You know what? Well, I'm gonna chat. Would chat like to talk about the new book on Sunday? Let's sit down with Brad at the fire, because I think that's what I'm doing this weekend, guys.
Can I join you, Fireside?
Yes, you can. But you have
It
to
would
love
be
to talk
next.
about
It
it.
would be a week from Sunday.
a week from Sunday. We will sit down and we will do a fireside chat about the new book.
All right, let's go ahead and give yeah, everyone go around the circle and give one thing to sound off before we get off here, because we're getting up on that 8 o'clock timer. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Hit us with it, Crowley.
I want to say thank you to Anna. Anna played an incredible game at Rumble on the Rivers. They were an incredible bastion of the game. It was an entertaining game to watch. They went for a gambit. She is effing amazing. And if the dice had gone even just a little bit in her favor, she would have crushed it. And it was amazing to see how she played Botan. And I wanted to make sure she knew that I learned things that game. And I love it when I learn something new. So thank you,
I will say, Anna, she has stepped her game up tremendously from where she was last year. Brad, does she work with you?
Every Tuesday.
It shows.
First off, she's always been an amazing ambassador of the hobby and our community, but she's getting up there in skill. There's gonna be not too long until she starts taking some GTs.
Yep.
I agree.
Mr.
So I
Bird,
want to give a shout out to another streaming server or another game streamer. Tabletop Live came to Du Bois GT. They were also at Salt City GT. It's another place for a GT to get a stream service from. Those guys are fantastic. They did a nice job.
I like those guys
We
a
actually
lot.
gave them a little bit of a private room to do stuff, and they were phenomenally nice guys.
Cool
and
dudes.
everyone that streamed with them said they were great. So I'd like to give them a shout out.
I'm going to promote
Brad, what do you got
myself.
for us?
40K Lorecast podcast. That is me.
That's it. That's all you gotta say.
I'm doing lore and I love it. And the next one I'm going to record is going to be orcs. And it's going to be awesome sauce. And I'm a huge nerd and I accept that fact and I move on. But check it out. You can download it on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Tunes, whatever the tunes are. I don't know about these technological words coming out of my mouth.
I'm gonna leave us with the final bit of tad bit of wisdom here. Don't let anyone named Brad Chester run your stream because you will start with no audio.
This is Hurtful Talk. And we're coming up on a holiday.
But
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Eat
Just
too
about to say
much.
that. Happy Thanksgiving.
Play
Stay
with
milky.
toys. Stay milky, my friends.